All right, hello world, this is Justin, and you are tuned to Anywhere the Needle Drops. Today we are hanging out with Elio of Sound Bend Records, but we'll get to that in just a moment because we have some business to attend to before anyone else possibly reminds me. I did leave some important news out last week, or last episode 2 weeks ago. I failed to mention a little bit of news for the show here, which is that we have been nominated for a Josie Music Award. Anywhere the Needle Drops is nominated in the media category at the Josie Independent Music Awards. They are the biggest indie music awards in the world. It's basically like the Grammys for the indie music world. So we are we are incredibly honored to be nominated and recognized at such a level. And we're gonna, pack it on in with a bunch of the other local bands who were nominated in the music awards there. And we're going to go down there to Nashville in September and celebrate. So, we got nominated for a media award. Feels really cool. Josie Music Awards, if you're not familiar, check them out. We'll see what happens in September. No matter what happens, we're going to go down there and we're going to get all gussied up and we're going to hang out at the Grand Ole Opry, and we're going to at least, hear this show mentioned on stage. Maybe we'll win an award, maybe we won't, but man, is it cool just to get a nomination and to be recognized. And really shout out to a bunch of local artists that were also nominated. Swing over to the Josie Awards website and see all the folks that were nominated, because listen, Michiana is representing our music scene, representing. So very, very cool. All right, enough about me and all that chatter. Let's get today's show. It is Elio of Sound Bend Records. If you haven't been, you must check it out. Sound Bend Records is a relatively new record shop located inside Denolf's Barbershop. That's over in South Bend's near west side. It's really cool. It's a pop-up record shop. And, you can walk in there, you can get your hair cut, you can rifle through some records and some music merch, and it's a really good selection. There's a lot of stuff there worth digging through, good stuff, added all the time, and, local bands, love it. And on top of that, they are doing regular live events there. So they're doing these Sound Bend sessions where an artist will come in and play right there in the barbershop. It's a great time. So much fun. And actually, Denolf's just celebrated their copper anniversary and threw a little party with some live music out in the lot next to the building with our friends, The Early, also Josie Award nominated. And it's a fun vibe. You go in there and you catch a show unlike anything you've ever seen before. I mean, it's a little bit of like NPR Tiny Desk, but it's also its own thing. You're hanging out in a barbershop, watching live music, and having a good old time. Definitely got to check it out. But all right, Elio's going to tell us all about that, so I'm going to quit yapping at you. Let's get to my conversation with Elio all about Sound Bend Records. All right, Elio of Sound Bend Records, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get this going for a little bit.
Our schedules are insane.
Yep. We've had scheduling issues. We've had power outages.
Yeah.
I was like this morning, I was waiting like, okay, what's the thing that's going to happen? Especially with the heat.
With the heat today.
Because that was the thing that was last time. The heat, everyone had their AC on and the downtown grid was like overloaded and they had to do a planned outage.
I just went with it and I was like, we're going to make it happen today. All good things happening, but we've both been busy.
Indeed. And every single time there's been some sort of a delay, reschedule, whatever, it's always worked out. It's always worked out. Like the Leatherface episode that's coming out. Well, it's coming out the day or 2 days after us recording this.
Yeah.
That episode, that whole thing happened. We ended up recording in the Yartwoods because we were like having a similar scheduling issue thing. And then the one day that worked ended up getting booked here last minute, and I was like, well, crap, what are we gonna do? And they're like, what if we pivoted and did this? So like,
you got to pivot.
You do. These things work out.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. So Elio here of Soundbend Records, and if people don't know, tell us what Soundbend Records is.
Yeah, Justin, thanks for having me first and foremost. So it is a record store pop-up inside of Denolf's Barbershop. The idea came from wanting to bring more music to South Bend. So I moved in next door to Ethan, and he had a space available, and literally quit my corporate job and said, let's try this pop-up and see if it works out. And yeah, it's a really cool space. It's a barber shop. We have a tattoo studio opening and the record store's inside of it. We do these tiny desk style shows as well. And it's really more of a community space is the way that I like to think about it.
Yeah.
People come in for a haircut, they stay for the records, and then for the people.
Yeah.
Plus it's just a cool space to hang out in the near West Side.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a very unique and fun vibe because, you walk in there and it's a barber shop. It's, but then you have that front corner, which is a record store.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and browse through the records and all the other fun stuff you have there, T-shirts and candles and all that gear, and
It's fun to see people come in for a haircut and they're like, are the records for sale? And I think that's my favorite part about being in the shop every day is having those conversations, but also seeing the generational love of vinyl through parents who are bringing their kids in there. So it's really, to be honest, I've always loved records, but this is my first venture into a retail space. Yeah. But it's been really cool to see how much people are getting back to your physical form of music.
For sure, yeah.
Whether that's cassettes, CDs, or vinyl.
Yeah, I think there's, in a way things have gotten to where they seem very disposable or, you get something and it disappears right away and then you get a record, a physical thing. And I know for me, when a new album comes out, if I get it on streaming or whatever, I'll listen to it a few times and then I'll probably forget about it and move on to some other album, even when it's really good. But if I get it on vinyl, it's sitting there in my house and I remember to put it on and sit down and go through the liner notes. And,
you have to sit down, you have to enjoy it. You can't just be moving because we're always on the go. Yeah. If you think about it. So most people are streaming music and they're in their car, they're, doing their everyday things. With a record, you have to really take the time to sit down and listen to it from start to finish, which I think a lot of people are getting back into loving that, which is fun to see. Yeah, and you know what? That side ends, you got to go over there and turn it over. So you got to be be paying attention and be around. So it's not just it can't just be background music. No, you have to be there and be present, which I think we need now more than ever. There's so much in the outside world that's happening that being present for music is always great. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so what's your history with records, with vinyl? Both as a consumer listener, but also as selling them. Yeah, so I've been collecting vinyl since I was probably 16. I got really lucky, and my middle school and high school were across the street from Easy Street Records in Seattle. Nice. And if you know Easy Street Records, think about Nirvana, Soundgarden. Phoebe Bridges, this is their store. That's where they were performing when they were younger. Yeah. So I would go there on my lunch break or I would go there after school. But in the time that it took to wait for my parents to come and pick me up and would just sort through all the records and slowly became friends with the owner. He kind of became like a mentor and taught me everything about vinyl and got me my first turntable and secretly collected vinyl because I grew up in the church. So we weren't allowed to have it. Yeah. But that's really what started the love of it. It's what created the love of live music because on any given day you would walk in and there'd be some indie artists performing. In Easy Street Records, which if you look at it, it's a very small coffee shop with records inside of it. So the idea is not new. Yeah. It's been around. It's just really cool to see the spaces being utilized. And that's really where my love of records came to. And moving to South Bend, I didn't see a record store in downtown South Bend, and I work remote, so I don't drive. So, making it out to Mishawaka was not a regular thing. So I said, I'm really thinking about opening a record store. I have a ton of my own, but how do I do it? And it really was just tapping Matt from Easy Street Records and asking him some advice on opening a record store.
Sure.
And that's really kind of where it took off. He put me in contact with independent distributors for independent stores, and have really just been learning on the go.
Well, it is interesting because I have similarly thought for years, like, why is there not a record store in South Bend? And I mean, there's a great one in Goshen. There's, I think the one in Benton Harbor is still around.
Yep.
And, you've got Mishawaka and everything, but like, it seemed like the obvious spot, if anywhere should have one, would be South Bend. And yet there was one missing. I mean, we even have one here in Niles to a certain extent.
Yeah, I've been to the one in Niles. It's great.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, how does this, so you definitely are feeling that need.
100%. And it's like, I think as we grow the music scene in South Bend, it's a space where people are going to want to go, right?
Yeah.
And everywhere that I've lived, even in Chicago, every neighborhood had a different record store. And it was more than just a record store for many people. It's a place where you go meet people who love music, hang out and listen to music, discover new artists. So I think it's part of making a city, vibrant. And that's really where I was going. It's never been about making money. It's like, how can we create a space for people to not only come and listen to music, buy music, but meet other people who love music.
Yeah.
So my goal has always been to bring something that I love, which is more of this is the passion project. It's not really, my day-to-day job, but create a space where, the 14-year-old Elio who fell in love with Easy Street Records can find a place here as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I love that collective nature of the location because, it sort of brings this cross section together. Like, again, someone's there for a haircut. They don't realize that, there's a record store in there necessarily, and yet there is. And like, you see that in a lot of places locally where you've got, these different people with their different things, but coming together and, really like helping like with the overhead and all the stuff that makes it so hard to get on your feet with these things. And you get these cool spaces then where it is a community, it is people hanging out and realizing, we have this cross section. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's super special and very unique from what I see in Michiana, because when you go to these bigger cities, if you don't have the capital to open a record store or to have a retail location, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Moving here and seeing so many places like the Portage Collective and the Commerce Center, where there's 5 or 6, 7 businesses in one, and they're all working together as small businesses to make sure that they're successful. And it just brings a whole different, it's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
It really gives opportunities to small business owners to get their footing before growing their business.
Yeah.
And I think that's super unique to here. At least for me, I didn't have a space like that in Seattle. Not in Chicago either. Definitely not in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I think that's something special about Michiana and South Bend and Niles and Goshen is that we are making do with what we have. And the community is the big part of it as well.
Yeah.
They support consistently. And that's really what I think keeps me going in a lot of the other small collectives.
Yeah, I think, there must be, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but it seems like growing up, I was at least raised around this idea of like, you're always in competition with everybody else, even if they're doing something entirely different from you.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've shifted to this mode where even like people that are doing a similar thing are working together because it really does like, even if you're doing a similar thing, like you have your own spin on it, right? And like, it really does like elevate everybody. I don't know if it's like a Midwest thing or if it's like this generational thing or what, but something's definitely changed in that regard.
I think it's definitely Midwest, but I also think it's maybe just a millennial thing.
Yeah.
Because I see it the same way. I don't see other, people who are doing a similar thing as competition. I just see it that we're giving everyone access to what they should already have.
Yeah.
So I'd rather I try to go and support everything that's happening around live music because I think it's important. It's the only way that we're going to get on the map, the only way that we're going to be able to grow. And there's something out there for everyone.
Yeah.
As much as I want to be as diverse with the artists that we're bringing in, which we are pretty, it's really cool to see, Anxiety Club doing techno and house at Lang Lab. And then you have the Rocky Button that's doing all these heavy metal shows. We went to one a couple Fridays ago with Beyond the Phantoms. Not really my thing, but it was fun to go, right? And you're seeing like Stockroom East bring some of the coolest indie folk artists. So to see it all happening in a city where 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago when I had moved here, I was like, where's the music?
Yeah.
You know, and it's happening. So I think for us, it's not competition. We just want to see everyone succeed. I think we've been through too much as well. If you think about what's happened within our lifetime. So
yeah, I talk about this with my parents sometimes, where it's been like, by the time I reached, I'm in my 40s now. By the time I reached my 40s, I'd been in like multiple economic crises where they had like lived through one, you know, in that time, So it's like,
let's not even talk about war, but And I also think maybe I'm biased and I have, still what do they call them? Heart-shaped glasses on for South Bend. But I think it's such a big place for community.
It is.
Like, you're gonna find it. You don't have to look. You will find your people and your tribe, and they support you, and they just want to. I don't know. I feel like everyone just wants to see everyone succeed.
Yeah.
Which maybe I am seeing things through rose-colored glasses, but I'd like to think that this is what South Bend is about and what it's been about.
I agree, and I've seen as someone who has been here for a while now, because I'm not that much of a transplant. I mean, it came from Bridgman, which isn't that far, but still, like, wasn't fully familiar with the South Bend scene. But I've seen it go through a couple of iterations, pre-COVID and all this other stuff, and there has been this cycle, and the thing that's been consistent through all of it, and that has revived it each time there's been like a downturn, has been that collaborative effort, that community effort. And what's really cool is what I think in this moment now, because like you said, a couple of years ago, you're like, where's the live music? And it wasn't that there was a lack of artists, but there was for a while a lack of places for artists to play. And now you're seeing that being answered to with what you're doing. And you mentioned a bunch of other places that like now artists have a home to go to, when they're playing out locally. And it's really cool. Like, it's a cool space, cool scene.
And it doesn't have to be, I think the one thing about live music and where I came up with the idea of, the Sound Bend sessions was for an artist to have a space to play. It can be stripped back. It can be low production, and it's about the music. So I'd rather I just wanted to create a space where I wanted to listen to live music.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If I couldn't find it, then I was going to bring it here myself. And it's just funny that it ended up being in a barber shop. I think when we had Paul Spring, the one thing that we were worried, and it was our first show, was the acoustics.
Yeah.
And he's like, mid-show stops and he goes, I was really concerned about the acoustics in a barber shop, but they're great in here. Come to find out, there's about 5 layers of drywall and stuff in the ceiling, so that probably helps with it. But I think South Bend is resourceful, so we're making music happen where we want it to happen. Not to shout out another space, but the vacant space, that's where I was like, this is really cool. It's a house that was turned into a church that's now a studio and live show. So I think looking at South Bend 5-10 years from now, we will get those large venues and music spaces, but we need to remember what South Bend is about and creating music in smaller, intimate locations.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get a little personal for a moment. Talk about your history, because it sounds like you've, you had time in Seattle. It sounds like you've been a few places around before you end up in South Bend. So tell me about your journey from Seattle getting to South Bend.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this conversation multiple times this week, which is kind of funny. I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea where South Bend was. I was born and raised in Seattle. I lived there for most of my life. I did a couple years in San Francisco, and I visited Chicago for Art Music Festival, and I fell in love with it. So I made the decision that I was going to move to Chicago. The pandemic happened. So not a great time to be in a new city where you know absolutely no one and can't hang out with no one.
Yeah.
So once restrictions started to lift, I ended up traveling for a year because I was just like, I can't be at home anymore, and shipped all my stuff back to my parents. And I was like, all right, I'm going to travel for a year and then we're going to figure out what we're doing. I needed to move back to the Midwest because I got a job that was based in Chicago, and I was served an ad, and I work in advertising. How hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And it was move to a smaller city and we'll give you this much of money and incentives and things like, bowling, co-working space. And I said, it's an hour and a half from Chicago. I can do it for a year. And if I don't like it, then I will move. And I think I applied for the program on a Monday, found the apartment on a Wednesday, and moved on a Sunday.
Nice.
So all within the course of a week, I had gone from being back home in Seattle to living in South Bend. And it's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to say that I love it and that I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a crazy story, but it is unbelievable that I would find a home outside of Seattle, but it also reminds me so much of Seattle when I was younger.
Sure.
There's a lot of similarities, and I think what really keeps me here is the community.
Yeah.
I met people the second day that I moved here who invited me over for dinner. That doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah.
It definitely won't happen in Seattle.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest part, but I just think in terms of what I was looking for, South Bend has it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's a little bit about how I ended up in South Bend. I was one of 79, by the way. And 78 are still here.
Okay. I mean,
so South Bend has something going for it.
It really does. So, I mean, because something like I grew up, again, in Bridgman, not far. But like the first thing you do when you get out of high school or whatever is like, well, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And so like, I remember disappearing for a while. And when I came back, having a lot of realizations about this area and like realizing, oh, this is actually really, really cool. And obviously there are things like, oh, it's really cool. Plus the expenses are lower. And you mentioned the community and whatnot. And it's just so cool to like, I get a hard time about this from a lot of people, but like I go out in South Bend, I can't walk five feet down the road without seeing two people that I know.
Exactly.
And it's like
they're yelling at you from their car.
Exactly, right? Yeah, there's something so wonderful about that because you feel like you can get lost in like the vibes and like the art and the music and like whatever you're looking around and the shopping and everything, and then someone drives by and like they know you, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I also think it's a great place. I think for me, it's opportunity. Like you can really make stuff happen here. Like it's at a stage where it's a small enough city that there's still opportunity to be a creative and do art and music and events and retail and whatever craft that you're working on. I just say do it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many spaces and resources in South Bend to do that where a lot of those kind of disappear in bigger cities, unless you're already established and you have capital, it's harder to make it happen here. And there's a need for it here.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really drives a lot of the creatives that I know. And if you just look at the future of South Bend, I know that it's going to be beautiful, but that opportunity's now.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
If you want to do something, you just got to jump. Just got to do it.
Yeah. Yep. Instead of going somewhere else that's supposedly cool, like we got the cool right here. We're making it cooler every day.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like look at it from a different perspective. And I get it's hard when you've been in a city for so long and you see all of these great things that happen in bigger cities. It is fantastic, but South Bend Michiana is in such a great position that if you do want to get that, there's Detroit, the house of techno, and then there's Chicago, house of house music, home of house music, and you can get to those cities and still come back here and live affordably. But if you do want to get out for a year, and then you're going to see that you have it pretty good here.
Yeah, it is really good here. And like I said, we're so close to everything if you want to go do those things. I mean, Indy, Kalamazoo, Chicago, Detroit, like we can get to any of those places for something bigger and get back here. But there's something wonderful about going to see an incredibly high quality act 15 minutes from my house, and like the show's over and I can be in my bed at a reasonable time if I want to.
Tell me about it. That was the whole goal, right? It's like, how do we bring in these artists and keep it short and sweet, but with substance. And I think every one of our shows does that because they're not just them playing a 60-minute set. They're having a conversation with you. Mm-hmm. They're telling you about the story, the lyrics. And I think that's what really makes the Sound Bend session super special is you're connecting with the artist directly.
100%. I mean, the ones I've been to, I mean, I've interviewed at one of them, but after the show, there was just natural conversation with the artist because it's a small space and everyone's just kind of hanging out. And so you get a chance to chat with everybody. It's
How
really
often
cool.
do you get to do that, right?
Exactly,
like, normally if you're going to a show, that's like they're in, they're out. And
they disappear backstage and you don't see them again.
You don't see them again.
You know?
So the whole goal was like, they're part of the family. So they're there to really have these conversations. And I think it's fantastic what we've been able to do and what's coming up, but also the fact that these artists are playing bigger venues and they're okay with a smaller one and having these interactions with our community.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what's really special about it.
Yeah. Well, and you know, if they need a haircut, it sounds like they get.
They do get free haircuts. So, you know,
you hear that, artist?
Ethan will give you a haircut.
Yeah. That's awesome. So as you're booking these events, what are you looking for in the artists that you bring in to perform at the shop?
I really love artists that have their own vinyl records, obviously.
Yeah.
But mostly it's just something that's different and unique that I'm not seeing everywhere out there. So like Holly, you got to interview them.
Yeah,
they did one of these episodes. For me, they are so unique in what they're doing and in terms of the band, but also the lyrics that they're writing are beautiful, and the vocals. It's a mix of R&B and soul and jazz. And when I found them, I had not heard anything like it. It's been a while since I've heard something like Holly. So I'm really looking at the artist, you know, where they're at in their career and what their potential can be. I'm not saying that I know that they're going to be, you know, super famous or whatnot, but I think in a sense you can tell when someone has it.
Oh, yeah.
The it factor.
Yeah.
And that's really who I'm looking for. So,
I mean, one of the things that blew my mind about that Holly show is given the size of the space, it's very intimate, very small. And then I see this whole band walk in with a full on horn section. And, you know, Paul and I talk about this a lot with the record store here in Niles around the corner because the Early is another one of those bands that has that big sound.
Yep.
And, but they're also so good at what they do. When they were in that little corner of the record shop a couple of years ago and went and saw them, like they knew exactly how to make that room work for them. And that's what I saw Holly do at your space. Like I was like, how's this going to work with the horn section in this tiny room? And they knew what to do. And it was great. It was
for that
so
limited
good.
amount of space and how much instruments were in that room was insane.
Blew my
which
mind.
Then opened up multiple possibilities for me because that was the first like full band and horns that we had in the shop. And then I was like, well, if we could do that, we can bring a whole band in here. So that was great. But yeah, I think for me, it's like a sound that I love, an artist that sounds unique, and an artist that's really doing something in their own lane. And, you know, that could be, there's so many out there. So you have to just look.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly looking through music and find, you know, music artists and trying to figure out like what sound I want the shop to have. And surprisingly, it's kind of been everywhere. Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
I love it. I mean, I listen to a variety, so I love being able to go listen to a variety out and about.
I think that's a Seattle thing in me too. Like I grew up listening to grunge and house music and rock and gospel. So I think that's kind of what inspires like what I want to bring to the shop. I want everyone to feel like they have something, that we have something for them.
Yeah.
You know, it may not be your sound for some of the shows, but you will find one that is.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and we live in this moment of time where there is so much great music out there, and I mean, it's hard to even pick and choose because there's so much great stuff.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I think that's the difficult part about being in South Bend because we are so small. Yeah, that we don't want to saturate the small community that we have that loves music.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you have to be okay with a show having 5-6 people. Mm-hmm. You're still doing it for the love of it. So it's not for me, and I think for a lot of the other venues too, it's not about how many tickets you're selling. It's like bringing the music here. So making sure that the artists are getting paid a good rate for what they're doing, but also making sure that you're okay with only having 6 people at a show. And that for me is fun because then I get to be like, oh, do you remember when you performed to 6 people? To the artist, you know, and they love it. They're like, it's okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, and also, because of the nature of the setup and the vibe in your space, the last time I went to a show there, it was Shlomo Franklin, and it was show ended I think around 7:38.
Yeah.
And so then, speaking of the early, my friend and I who had come to that show at your space were able to shoot off to go see the early play at the Livery that night, and it was just almost like this great double feature vibe where we get this cool intimate show, and then it's okay, cool, now we're gonna go see a heavier or a bigger show over there. And it was just, I love that idea where there was time to do both things, you know?
And
so
that's why it's at 6:30 every time, because we want it to be small.
Yeah.
We want it to be a 60-minute show, sometimes 75 if you get an artist like Paul Spring, which I really love, who wants to just keep playing, we'll let him play. But, people got to go places. So, I would love to do a double feature at some point, maybe coming down the pipeline.
Nice.
Where it's like a show at Sound Bend and then they play at another venue that's a full band show. I think that's the uniqueness and the special thing that Sound Bend has. And I also love going to bed early. So the fact that you could be in bed by 8:30 is okay with me.
Yep, 100%. Or also an issue I run into, which is a great problem to have, but there are a lot of weekends where I'm I don't know which thing to do because there are multiple things happening at the same time. So I love the fact that I could go to your show and then another show in the same night and not have to miss, So,
exactly.
Yeah.
That was in Seattle, we used to do that all the time. With my friends, we'd pop into 4 different venues to see 4 different shows in any given night, because that's kind of how it's staggered. It's you have your 6:30 p.m. to 7:30, and then your 8 to 9 p.m., and then your 10 to 11, and then your after hours.
Yeah.
And for me, I was that's just fun for me,
No, it's a good time. I was having, actually that night, I was having recollections of my time in, I went to Ireland a couple summers ago and was hanging out in Galway and plugged into the music scene there, and that we would do that. We went to this pre-dinner show here, and then this show here, and we were just bouncing all over town because they knew where all those spaces were going. And
it's the place to be.
Yeah.
It's better that we have more shows than none.
Exactly.
None at all, right?
It's a great problem to have.
Great problem to have.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of shows, we are coming up on a year of Sound Bend Records.
Yes, sure.
And so you got an event planned for this to promote that?
Yeah,
celebrate?
So we have a few shows for August. I really packed out the month. I'm very excited for Neptune's Core. It's a girl band out of Chicago. They were also named top 10 indie bands that are coming out of the Chicago area.
Yeah.
And it's 2 sets of sisters. They're super awesome. Think about Florence and the Machine meets indie rock. It's really cool.
Nice.
They have a great sound. And they also have a new LP coming out, I think it just came out on the 23rd of June. So that's exciting. We have local favorites, Remy and Jesus.
Love them.
That's going to be on August 15th. And then Paul Spring is going to close out the anniversary. He actually was the first Sound Bend session that we did in November.
Yeah.
So he'll be playing on August 16th.
Okay.
And he's a folk artist, also has a new LP coming out. So lots of new music.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And then just to kind of throw another one in there, the Denolf anniversary is on July 11th. It might be after this comes out. But it's Iris Blue and The Early.
Nice, yes.
So locals, love them.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, The Early is one of the best locals. So,
so a lot of really great music. And then in September, birthday show is going to be Zoe Lemon. She's a classically trained violinist, and she is on August 8th, I believe.
Okay.
September 8th. And very excited for her. She has phenomenal vocals as well. So
nice. How does that feel to already be approaching a year in the space and having done all this?
Oh, man. Excited and proud. Because I'm not a South Bend local, I am a transplant.
Yeah.
And this was just kind of a whim thing a year ago. And to see it grow to the point where we're at now, it's very exciting. It was more of a proof of concept when we did the pop-up to see if South Bend would like something like this, and just to see the support from the community and from everyone at the shop. I'm excited to see what's ahead. So yeah, I'm really proud of the 1 year. also, I'm just really proud that I'm able to book all these artists and sell them the idea of like, come play a record store pop-up inside of a barber shop. We might be the world's first record store inside of a barber shop.
What does that conversation look like when you reach out to an artist and you're like, well, I want you to come play in my record shop. By the way, it's in a barber shop. Like, what does that sound like?
I mean, it's just selling them the vision. I'm like, all right, so I host these Tiny Desk concerts in a multi-use space. And they're like, oh, like what's in the shop? And I go, it's a barber shop. Think about like a quartet idea. And then I'll send them a couple videos from like the Paul Spring show or Holly.
Yeah.
And they see it immediately. They're like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for good measure, if you need a haircut, you'll get one for free.
Yep.
But I think I think they love the idea of a smaller show and something being 60 minutes that really just kind of packs a punch into it. And I'm not going to lie, I think the NPR Tiny Desk probably sells the idea as well.
Sure.
Because it's a small space.
Yeah.
And it's stripped back. They don't need to do much. They're coming and they're plugging, they're playing.
Yep.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So excited about the 1 year. I'm excited to see what's to come.
Yeah.
This is my first like retail business venture, so it's been a learning experience. But I think overall, I'm just happy that I get to bring music to South Bend.
Yeah.
And to Michiana, because it's just something that I've always loved, and I think it's the one thing that connects everyone.
Yeah.
Is music.
For sure. Yep. It's universal. Are any with the anniversaries, both for Denals and for you? You just mentioned some shows you got in the works. Any other like celebratory things that you guys are doing in the space or around the space for the anniversaries?
Just the Denolf anniversary on July 11th, and then we will have a free show in September. I'm still figuring the details of that out, but it'll be a block party sort of thing.
Nice.
So
okay.
more of that, more to come. If they follow the website, soundbendrecords.co, it's all under the event tab.
Yeah. And speaking of the website, for people that aren't local, like they can shop your shop from the website, right?
Yep. So we are now connected to RSD Record Store Day. So everything that's on the website is through an independent distributor who only works with independent record stores. So you're going to get a lot of indie exclusives, special pressings, and you're not supporting a big box store. You're supporting independent record stores.
Indeed, yeah.
Or you can shop in store as well. And then also all the events are on there, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
To keep up with. So
yeah, and it's a good variety of music. I mean, you are there are records there from a lot of the acts that you've got coming through, and a lot of independent acts, supporting the local acts, and then you've also got the major stuff. So you gotta dig through there and find some
your Deftones, your Metallica, and we're growing that space as well. I know it looks very tiny, but we have 2 new displays that are coming in because we have more records coming in.
Yeah.
And eventually the goal is we're putting it out into the universe. We will be adjacent to the shop.
Yeah.
So in our own space.
Yeah. Love to see that evolution. And it's the footprint may appear small, but if you start digging through those racks, like there's a variety of music in there and it's deep.
Yeah, I think we have I have like close to 4,500 in store. And then with these new displays we should be able to add like another 500.
Nice.
So new stuff coming in every day. I love supporting local acts, so if they have vinyl, I will buy them and stock them in the store.
For sure.
I love talking to people about music and supporting other local artists.
Definitely, yeah. Yep. Speaking of, what's catching your ear these days as far as what you're listening to?
There's a girl out of Seattle that I've really been into, Tessa Talks. She's kind of like this alt indie rock artist. I've also been listening to a lot of just local bands. No Advocates I got to see for the first time. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I had listened to some of the early, and I've really dove deep into them because they're going to be playing the shop. And I think they're just such a great talent that we have here that we need to support. And then always discovering just, I don't know if you've ever seen the supermarket live shows.
No.
There's a lot. It's like literally what I do inside of a barber shop, but they're doing it inside of a Mexican grocery store.
Amazing.
So
yeah.
there's a ton of Hispanic artists. Like that's my goal, is like, how do I book a banda, like a whole Mexican band in the shop and bring something different here? But yeah, my music taste is forever changing. So a little bit of everything.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of local. I think with the shop, I want to have a balance of like, how do we support the local artists, but also bring national or Midwest touring acts as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I bridge that? So me diving into local artists is the only way that I'm going to do that, to be able to find them. And I think sometimes we forget, because they are around our community, that we're not going out of the way to listen to them.
Yeah.
So my goal is to figure out who all of the local artists are and make sure that I spend time listening to them and seeing where we align to have them at the shop.
Yeah, and really, when you start digging into that world, there are so many great local acts, and really, like, there are people doing like this kind of sound over here and this kind of sound over there, and there is a good variety. I mean, you mentioned a couple already with like Jesus and Rem and the early, and then you get bands like Jagalchi, and like you get some crazy different like things that people are doing out there, and you know, it's
there's so much talent.
Yeah.
There's so much talent, and I think it's a great space to like seeing 4 bands, QPQ being one of them. We had them at like last year's anniversary, and they've grown so much in a year.
Yeah.
But seeing so many different venues have like really cool local talent as well, I think that's something that we need to support
for sure,
on top of like the touring acts. So yeah, listen to your local artists.
For sure. And support your local venues. Do you foresee, I mean, you kind of hinted at it a little bit, do you foresee doing some future collaborations with other, you know, spaces?
Yeah, so I could probably talk about this, but obviously the Soundband sessions are very small.
Yeah.
It's about 25 to 30 people, but there are some artists that I've been chatting with that could sell out a venue, you know, so collaborating with like Stockroom East and doing a show, a more intimate show in the morning, and then having them do a full show at Stockroom East after, something that we've been talking about, as well as with a couple other venues in the city. And I think that's a great way to, you know, give you 2 different things from the same artist in one night. So a double hitter, right? You're going to get that really intimate experience where it's limited. So tickets would be like 25 people. And then you get a big show where they have like the full band.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. There's so many opportunities in the city. And I think the biggest thing is we got to collaborate together to keep this growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So exciting stuff happening.
It sounds like it. Anything else coming down the line? What's the future look like post anniversary?
We're already booked through December, so keep an eye out for those announcements.
Yeah.
The goal is to, originally it was 1 Soundband session per month. I think we're moving those to 2 per month, and then hopefully maybe a festival next year.
Nice. Okay.
I think like that would be cool, right?
Yeah.
You know, a South Bend Music Festival.
Yeah.
Well, we have one of those coming up, but
several really.
Yeah. But I think we need a music festival.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of the festivals we have, you know, aren't necessarily music as the sole focus. It's a festival that has music and really great music, but like it'd be cool to get back to having a specifically music festival.
Yeah, I think we need it.
Yeah.
We have a food festival. I love Fusion Fest, and there's music. I just think we need a music festival, like a proper music festival. So venues, let's work together and get it done.
Yeah, make it happen. I mean, I remember back in the day, you know, this was a long time ago, pre-COVID, but like when you know, we had the sound, well, it was originally Sounds by South Bend, you know, before that occurred. For that they were told to maybe change that name, but you know, oh no, it was South by South Bend, I think was the original name.
Oh, maybe.
And then they got a letter that was like, maybe you shouldn't call it that.
Cease and desist.
Yep. And then it was Sounds by South Bend, I think, eventually. And then you know, we had River Lights briefly, and you know, it was fun to go to those things. And I remember particularly loving the original iteration because of it took advantage of all the local venues. It wasn't, you know, I mean, River Lights was fun when you were on, you know, in that parking lot going back and forth between the two stages and whatnot. But I also really enjoyed when, you know, it's like, oh, you're going to this venue over here for this show and then walk down the street to that venue for the next show. And that was like a fun way to see the city.
You know, South by Southwest did it, but it's not a new concept. My buddy Sean in Seattle had Decibel Festival. Yeah. There's 30 venues and you buy a 1 weekend pass. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I was popping around to like 7 venues a day and it was the funnest time ever. So I think it comes out of necessity and the fact that we don't have a big, you know, theater or, well, we do have the Morris. I don't know if they book it, but either way, not here or there. It would take advantage of all the cool venues that we have, you know, and like get people to go out. Maybe we'll get like a party bus to drop everyone off at a different venue. Yeah.
And people would probably discover a venue that existed that they didn't realize existed.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's what it is. So I think I appreciate what you do because not only does it put a light on local venues and local artists, it's really showing that what Michiana has to offer. You know, what South Bend, Niles, Goshen, Mishawaka has to offer. And there's so much. And I think people tend to forget because a lot of these smaller venues don't have the budget to advertise massively. So support your local venues, support your local artists, listen to cool podcasts, and come out.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right. Well, Elio, Sound Bend Records, links are in the show notes to the website, social media, all that fun stuff. So everyone get over there and check it out, buy some records, catch a show.
Yep.
And thanks for hanging out.
Thank you so much, Justin.
You have been listening to Anywhere the Needle Drops, a product of Red Chuck Productions. Keep up on new episodes, live events, various creations, and anything else we've got going on over at redchuckproductions.com or by visiting us on social media at Red Chuck Productions. Special thanks to Hero Jr. for our theme music. You can check them out over at herojrmusic.com. That's HEROJRMUSIC.com. And a big shout out to the crew over at Theory One Studios for sound duties and so much more. You can check them out over at theoryoneproductions.com. Also, thank you to Earthworks Audio for outfitting the Red Chuck Studio. Check them out at earthworksaudio.com. Please make sure to support all of our guests by visiting their websites, Bandcamps, social media, buying merch, and going to shows. Give musicians and artists your money. We'll be back at you with the next episode. Until then, thank you for your time. Here's to life.